we are ready to approve the agenda first. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Is Charlie on?
So
Oh, okay.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow Charlie Sheads to join our meeting electronically due to illness.
So is Charlie on?
No, we have to approve this first and then call.
Okay. So I don't know if he automatically comes on or exactly what happened. Okay. So there's been a motion. May I have a second?
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded that Mr. Sheads will be joining us electronically. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those who do not approve say no. Motion carries. It will be just a second to get Charlie on the line.
Selfin?
This one. Thank you.
Hey Charlie, it's the school board calling you. This is Nita.
I'm here. How's everybody?
We're okay. Thanks for coming. Can everybody hear? Are we good? Okay.
And we have one agenda item for tonight. The approval for the board to amend the action not to approve recommended textbooks. HMH into literature grades 9 through 12 taken at the June 13th, 2022 meeting, and instead vote to approve the recommended textbooks. Could I have a motion?
I'd like to move that the board amend its action to not approve recommended textbooks, HMH into literature grades 9 through 12, taken at its June 13th, 2022 meeting, and instead vote to approve the recommended textbooks to include the elimination of the 13 questionable passages that Mr. Wingate has documented.
Could I have a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we amend the action of June the 13th. Is there any discussion?
I think this is a. I'll still vote against the textbook selections. I think the bias runs deep in the company. I also think if we do this, if you all approve the textbook, I think we also ought to think, and I'm not saying now, but think about going forward, adding some resources that promote love of country, promote family, promote traditional values that I think most Madison County citizens hold, so that we are teaching kids those things also. So I don't have to do it tonight, but I would like us to think about adding those kinds of things into as resources for teachers to promote those kinds of things for our children.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Sheads?
Your mic is on, Mr. Sheads, if you want to discuss.
Well, we talked about compromise, and our compromise was accepting the 6 through 8, not accepting the 9 through 12. Aside from the fact that I believe this is an illegitimate meeting and was called, I think, properly, I'm very disappointed. I think a lot of citizens are very disappointed. I find it very unfortunate.
Anything else? Anybody? And it looks looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Oh, roll call. I hope so, because I'm the one that messed up. So I hope so.
Can we read it again?
Are we all clear on what we're voting on?
I'm gonna read it one more time. I move that the board amend its action to not approve the recommended textbooks, HMH, into literature, grades 9 through 12, taken at its June 13, 2022 meeting, and instead vote to approve the recommended textbooks, to include the elimination of the 13 questionable passages that Mr. Wingate has documented.
Ms. Patterson, could you call the roll?
Mrs. Collier,
Now I gotta think about it. Thanks, Chris. Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Sheads,
No.
Mr. Wingate,
No.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes. Motion carries. The other thing I just wanted to let everybody know, it was oh, you can't hear me?
No, speak in your microphone.
I do apologize for messing up. Anybody can mess up. And I think that if you've been regularly attending these meetings, that I think you probably knew what I meant to do, because I did that in May. So I apologize for all the confusion that it has caused everybody. I think moving forward, we can try to figure out suggestions from Mr. Wingate, and I also want to say to all of you, I would like to rescind for all of you. I haven't signed anything in writing, so it wasn't formal. My resignation from the school board. I have been proud to be on this board. Challenging at times. I did mess up. But I feel strongly about what I do, and I love doing what I do for the children of Madison County, for the community, for the parents, and I haven't changed. So, in 40 years, I have cared very much, and I hope to continue to care for everybody, including this board. So, I just wanted to let everybody know that, and I thank you all for being here tonight. And if there is any further business? Oh, okay.
I just wanted to, obviously there's a lot of churn in the last couple of days. I just wanted to kind of lay out, where I think, some things that I think that we can do going forward. So just some ideas. First, I think it was unfair to the board to put us in a situation where we were being asked to approve a curriculum that we thought was biased, and we had nothing to fall back on. It was sort of an emergency because we hadn't bought anything for a long, long time. And so I think I'd ask the superintendent and think about how do we not have that happen again, so that we kind of know what, how old the curriculum are, how old the texts are, and so whether that be a curriculum committee that's in place with parents and teachers, educators, that lays out clearly how old things are, so that we're not in a situation that we were in this time. So I thought I'd make that suggestion and to think about it, and I think to report that back to us of where we are. Our history textbooks, 20 years old, are, I don't know, I imagine somebody knows, but I think the board probably needs to know those things, so I would ask us to think about that. I also think that this process shows that the need to approve some sort of a revised textbook adoption thing that I think we're going to vote on next month, I think, to really clearly lay out so we build trust in the community, that this process is clear, transparent, includes teachers, educators, parents, community members, taxpayers who pay for the books. And so I'll ask for us to approve that clear policy going forward for that. Second, I want to just address one idea that kind of came out that I think we ought to think about as a board, and it's really important. There was a suggestion made that these are just textbooks and that we're not talking about morality of children. I think it's a really dangerous idea that you can separate education and morality. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to society." Education is a serious, serious business and deserves a lot of thought. Texts matter, and what children read desperately, desperately matters. It will form their mind for this life and eternity, and I just don't think the idea that it's just a textbook makes much sense. So I think we ought to think about that. And then also, I think for the board, I think we can all, as a board, commit, and I'm at fault in some ways. I think the board needs to be a transparent community of trust and respect. And I apologize for anything that I've said intemperately. I think all of us need to commit to that sort of idea of not being intemperate, to be respectful of one another. We can disagree without that sort of thing. I think the board desperately needs clear communication and transparency that I think is not there right now, probably. And I think we need to work on that. I know the rules are painful, but we have to find a way to work so that we know what's going on. I feel like I'm in a hole sometimes. I don't know what's going on, and it needs to be a collegial thing, and that's not happening right now. So I urge each of us to figure out how we can do this without the kind of churn that's been going on. I mean, because we desperately need that to have a trusting community, and it's just not happening right now, I think. And I need to do that, my part in that too. A couple of last things. To the teachers and administrators who will use this textbook, as you know, our policies require you to teach in an unbiased way. I'm sorry that we've made your job more difficult in approving a textbook that is biased in a particularly politically, culturally liberal, woke, progressive direction. Ask teachers to be thoughtful about that as you teach this textbook. I thank the teachers for their devotion to the idea that it matters desperately what children are reading. I thank the teachers for their devotion to that. There's nothing more important in our society than administrators and teachers who are teaching our children, so I thank you for that. And lastly, parents and families who use this textbook, it is absolutely your right, our right, to opt out of literature selections that you, as the primary educator responsible for the education of your children, want to do. And so I encourage parents to think about that and opt out of those selections that you think are against how you want to teach your child. That is your right. I believe in our school division has been great about being fully supportive of that right, and I'm grateful for that. And for parents, reach out to your teacher and ask for that, your principal, your superintendent, your school board, if you feel you're not receiving that right, because that is your right as the one who knows and loves your child the very, very best. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
And I want to say thank you for those wise words. Parents, you are their first teachers. All we have to do right now is make sure we're all on the same page. So I appreciate the care that you are giving. Anybody that needs any help in getting online so that they can start to review the selections so that they'll know what their children are reading, we certainly can help you with that. So just call central office, we can walk you through it. So if there's no further discussion.
Charlie, do you have any discussion?
I have a lot of things in my mind that I want to say, but I'd rather keep them in person instead of saying them over the phone. So maybe the next meeting, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, no. Thank you guys for coming in tonight.